In the past, the Yakuza franchise faced difficulties gaining popularity outside of Japan. Despite being unsuccessful in the Western market, its spin-off games were unable to undergo localization for an international audience. One of these titles, Ryuga Gotoku Ishin, which was released in 2014, was limited to Japan only. However, the situation improved for the franchise when Yakuza 0 was released in the West in 2017. This game's success paved the way for future games such as Yakuza Like a Dragon to be released globally. It also initiated a trend of remastering older games for newer hardware, such as Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza 3 Remastered. After almost 10 years, the samurai-themed Ryuga Gotoku Ishin is now available to international audiences and modern consoles with the title Like a Dragon Ishin. It is a poignant tale of brotherhood and chosen family, featuring the charming characteristic of the franchise. However, the game's combat system may not always succeed in overcoming its origins in the PS3 era. Like a Dragon Ishin depicts the story of a young samurai named Sakamoto Ryoma, who is based on a real-life figure that lived during Japan's Bakumatsu era, a significant time in the mid-1800s when the ruling shogunate collapsed before the Meiji Restoration. As a form of loose historical fiction, the game effectively merges fictional elements with real-life characters like Ryoma. Displeased with the deeply entrenched societal hierarchies of the period, Ryoma starts the game by joining the Tosa Loyalist Party, advocating for a more egalitarian Japan. Nonetheless, Ryoma's mentor Yoshida Toya is unexpectedly murdered, causing him to vow to track down the culprit. His investigation leads him to the capital city of Kyo. Upon arriving there, Ryoma adopts the name Saito Hajime, another reference to a historical personality, and becomes part of a new clan of samurai known as the Shinsengumi. The Shinsengumi serves as the city's police force and enforces its rigid social order. During the day, Ryoma is compelled to maintain the status quo, but at night he attempts to undermine it. He juggles this dual life while pursuing Yoshida's killer, resulting in incredibly tense moments throughout the story where his true identity is nearly revealed. The characters in Like a Dragon Ishin are all based on familiar figures from the primary Yakuza franchise. Ryoma resembles the previous protagonist, Kazuma Kiryu, while the Shinsengumi's elite officers bear similarities to Kiryu's past allies and foes, such as Goro Majima, who appears as Unit Officer Okita Soji. It's like watching a historical TV show populated by actors who gain fame in a different genre. However, because the characters are distinct from their mainline counterparts, new players can fully enjoy Ishin without having played previous games. While the primary plot contains a lot of drama, Like a Dragon Ishin stands out for its silly side quests. One particularly memorable quest involves a British trader who demands that Japan opens its borders for commerce. However, as soon as he arrives in the country, a severe case of seasickness strips him of his imposing demeanor, which Ryoma cures with a delicious Japanese snack. It's a lighthearted moment that nevertheless touches on the dark history of colonialism, a theme that the primary story addresses more seriously. Other side stories include Ryoma nodding off while listening to a talkative person who drones on about their life story and then quizzes him indignantly. You can also enjoy absurd minigames like karaoke, fun dancing, chicken racing, and even cutting cannonballs in half. Kyo, or Tokyo, is brimming with bizarre and relatable diversions that'll keep you entertained for hours and make the city feel like a genuine lived-in place. In pulling over additional mechanics from the mainline Yakuza series, or now known as Like a Dragon Ishin players can choose from various fighting styles based on Ryoma's weapons, such as the classic samurai sword, revolver, and fist. The game's combat mechanics allow Ryoma to pick up items to throw or smash at opponents in the brawler style, while the swordsman style is useful for taking down particularly tough enemies, and the wild dancer style can handle multiple opponents. Meanwhile, the gunslinger style lets players take out enemies from a distance, offering a wide range of options to keep battles from becoming monotonous. However, Like a Dragon's combat suffers from stiffness, as players cannot switch between styles seamlessly mid-combo as in other Yakuza games. Instead, Ryoma must stop attacking, pause, and then switch styles, disrupting the flow of combat and leaving him vulnerable to enemy attacks. It is unfortunate that the game's combat fluidity did not match that of the other recent Yakuza titles. Additionally, the game's camera can be problematic, particularly in small enclosed spaces where it can swing too close to your opponent's back, limiting visibility. The absence of a lock-on button further adds to the difficulty of tracking enemies. These minor issues combine to make the gameplay combat experience occasionally frustrating. And while the combat in Ishin may feel stiff, the game does introduce new elements like trooper cars that add excitement to the battles. These cars can provide health regeneration, support abilities, and special attacks such as an electric strike that stuns enemies and knocks down enemies. Plus, players can even summon cameos from real-life figures like AEW star Kenny Omega and even Alex Mukala, who's famous for being a composer, making battles even more thrilling and fun. Now, I do have to admit that the marketing for this game has been rather bizarre because it's been focusing more on the celebrities that they brought in, such as Kenny Omega, Alex Mukala, Vampy Bitme, and more, than the actual game itself. And that, when I initially saw it, had me worried because I was wondering, is this game gonna flop? Is SEGA doing everything they can to push the game with celebrities than actual gameplay? It was very interesting. I don't think it was a good method of trying to promote the game, and I also think that that's going to date the game as a whole. Although you don't have to use these trooper cars whatsoever. I just think it's silly that they went the route of pushing the content creators and celebrities than actually pushing the game itself. Now, when it comes down to performance, I've played this game on PC, but primarily I played it almost exclusively on the Steam Deck. I was able to get roughly 2.5 to 3 hours with default settings, and also able to run the game at 60 frames per second. Now, you can probably get better battery life, as the Yakuza titles typically run very well on the Steam Deck, and they allow you to get upwards of 3.5 to 4 hours. So if I drop the settings lower, I probably could get better performance overall. But yes, the game is deck ready, and it is deck verified. And in wrapping everything up, while Ishin is a remake like many recent games in the industry, it offers a fresh and unique experience for most players. Its distinctly Japanese story and setting make it stand out, and the fact that the game's publisher was willing to localize it shows a dedication to bringing overlooked gems to a wider audience. Now, this does make me wish that they would bring over the PSP Yakuza games, as they do tie into the overall main Yakuza plot. But hey, I digress. We get what we can get, right? Despite some combat issues, like a Dragon, Ishin is still a highly enjoyable game with a great narrative, memorable characters, and is a worthy addition to the Yakuza franchise.